Jay Pharoah in studio. Got a very funny stand-up special, I know, because I watched it earlier today. Jared is the name of it. Currently available on YouTube as we speak, and it's a meal. It's an hour, 13 minutes or something. It's above an hour.
Yeah, brother. I wanted to. I didn't know what to cut at that point, so I was like, all right, it ain't gonna make no. I wanted the stuff to make sense. You feel me? So
you shot it in Chicago
at the Den Theater. Yep.
Oh, it's a beautiful setting.
Yeah. So that's a nice area, man. And Chicago is always they got a lot of energy. I'll either do that or, Zanies. Of course, I've been there so many times. And then the Improv at Schaumburg, which is crazy. When you rock that place, you can feel the energy.
Well, yeah, where you shot your special, it had a feeling of a club and a theater.
Yes.
Which is nice, because I think people like to shoot them in theaters, but theaters feel a little cavernous.
Right.
And
cavernous, yes, that's a great word for that.
But the club is maybe just a club, It doesn't feel like, well, you don't shoot a special at a club. It's a club.
Nah.
So this is sort of a theater that's laid out like a club.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of my first special I shot. It was in New York at the what the room was, the cutting room. It reminds you of the cutting room. You know what I'm saying? Where you still got people close enough, but like you're saying, it still feels bigger, but it doesn't feel too disconnected. You feel connected to the audience.
So you're letting it fly in this special, saying whatever you want.
Yeah.
Which seems like a few years ago we were talking about people not saying what they wanted or thought.
Yeah.
And then there was like a sort of a backlash, I think. And now we have people saying more than more than you want.
We had Dave Chappelle messing with the community, and then when you do that, just other people get courage. You know what I'm saying? So I think the crusaders for comedy and the people who are not willing to bend to the rule of the political right now. I think those people are really becoming the trailblazers for folks to just say, F it, we can say whatever the hell we want to say, and it's comedy, and we're not trying to hurt anybody with our words. We're just making observations here. We're just doing our jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think people really. I think it gets a little blurry because like people say all the time, "Oh, come on, that was a joke,"
Right. Right.
But I mean all of my jokes. When I'm making fun of somebody, I'm making fun of it. I mean, if there's a roast or whatever, you use hyperbole, you take it further than you would have taken it off stage. But I mean what I joke about for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, this I find with me, I mean it too, but there's also a line of truth. There's a line of truth that you have to keep in there, and you have to. Of course, you have to be aware of what everybody's thinking, but at the same time, like you're saying, you're a comedian. Like you knew what you were going to come. You knew what you're going to get.
Right.
You knew what we were going to talk about. You knew this is a place where we push the border. So listen, release your ass cheeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And stop trying to, stop trying to be so uptight. You feel me? Have fun.
Yeah, I guess I like, why look for it? Why look to be upset? Like I don't know how many people I talk to a day where they go, "Oh, that guy knew what he was doing. He meant something." And I go, maybe he didn't. Maybe he forgot or something. You talk to people and they go, "I sent this guy 2 emails. He didn't email me back. He's pissed about something." And I go, I don't know. I miss emails all the time. I'm not pissed about. We don't have to have the default setting of looking for this.
I think that everybody wants to feel included. I think that's today's game. People like you're saying, people looking for a reason to be mad so they can be a part of something.
Yeah.
Because they feel so, I don't know, folks feel isolated or whatever. Their lives are really boring. They're like they need a little bit of a flair by getting mad at somebody talking about things that we're forced to eat that don't taste the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think what it is human wiring hasn't changed.
Right.
And we need a certain amount of grief and fight or flight, or we need it all. But now we're all sitting in air conditioning and we're watching a big screen TV, so we're going to find it and create it. It used to be created by animals and nature and jobs that involved axes.
Right.
And
now you can just sit there and get it. I call it coochification. That's what I call. It's the coochification of not only America, but the coochification is going on ubiquitously. Like I said, when you're forced to drink apple juice that's orange.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not, and this is, you'll be like, oh, this is apple. It's not. But if I say it's not, okay, now it's a problem. Now everybody's got their panties up in a bunch, literally.
Yeah, it really came home to roost during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just take one subject of where did the virus come from?
Right.
And you go, well, let's just break it down. Forget about nationalities or China or any place. It's like the first question you would ask as a reporter or as a human being would be, where did this thing come from?
Right.
That would just be the first question you would ask. In any time, in any period, where did it come from?
Right.
And so somebody goes, well, either came from this wet lab, this wet market, or this wet lab that was up the street from the market, And then I would go, well, what were they doing in the lab?
Right.
And they go, well, they're working on stuff that was similar.
Yeah, they would.
I would go, all right, well, then I think it probably came from the lab. And then they're like, well, now you're being canceled. And I'm like, who signed off on this?
Right.
And isn't this obvious that it did come from that place? And then why am I being canceled if it came from that place?
But you know what it is. If you do tell the truth, then you get crucified for telling the truth, or if you have any sense of it. And if you live in a delusional, everything's fine. Nobody gives a damn.
Well, you know what I think is the bigger problem? I think the bigger problem, as I've discussed it on this show before, but I don't think they really have a problem with me thinking it came from the lab.
Right.
What they have a problem with is then they go, oh, so you're a Trump supporter. And then I go, no, I think it came from the lab. Right. And they go, oh, I get it. You're a Trump guy. Because Trump said it came from the lab, and then they all yelled at Trump.
Right.
So really what they're yelling at me about is not thinking it came from the lab and or saying, I don't think the paper masks are going to work.
Right.
That's not what they're mad about. They think I've aligned with a certain group by not by that. And statistically, they would probably be correct. But if you want to know why they're so angry about me not wanting to wear a mask outdoors alone, it's not me and my mask.
No.
It's MAGA. That's what they think.
I'm telling you, they want to equate it. They want to, if things, they always want to compartmentalize or something or marginalize something. If it doesn't make sense to them, even, you don't have to agree with everything somebody says, but it's just like, yo, if there's a couple of pieces of what this person says that I agree with, all of a sudden, then I'm for the whole party.
Yeah, which is a weird thing, which I really don't get. People are kind of packages.
Yeah,
they have a lot of good qualities and some bad ones, and you have to kind of live with the some bad ones if there's enough good qualities. If the bad ones outweigh the good qualities, then you don't have to tolerate it, and you're not really going to fix the 2 that you don't like, but it's only 2 out of 10 qualities.
No.
So you like the other 8.
No.
So you're doing pretty good.
So it's like Suge Knight said, come to death row. That's all it is. You get what I'm saying you get what I mean when I say that. When I'm just saying, like, be your own, do your own thing kind of. And then it's like no, I'm not standing for this or that. I'm standing for what I believe in, which could take some of both of ideals, because when you look at everything, this lab is bullshit, and also these mice are bullshit. So it's like, what am I gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get what I'm doing.
Were you, he left SNL in 16, was it?
2016. Yep.
Why did you decide to leave SNL?
I mean, I was frustrated. I was frustrated because, I felt like, I was on the sideline. So I was looking for another project to do, which, by the grace of God, White Famous came out. Jamie Foxx, who was, very friendly to me when when he first came on the show and he hosted. He was just like, nah, man, I don't understand why you ain't in every sketch. I said, well, you know, they're just trying to
well, I mean,
sprinkle me in there.
You and Jamie Foxx have a lot of, you know, similar qualities
Absolutely.
and traits, which is good because I think he may be like the most talented guy in show business.
Absolutely.
And a little underrated in that people don't know. I mean, the physicality stuff, the musician stuff, the voice stuff, the characters, the impressions, the serious acting.
Yeah. He's literally a whole entertainer's buffet. I don't know if you've ever seen him just on his Instagram, like when he's playing sports and he's got a football, he can throw it 100 yards into a target. Like, matter of fact, what did he do? He threw a football from all the way on the other side of the court into the basket and just switched. I said that's talent. And he can just throw a perfect spiral 100 yards
on any Sunday
and play and play piano and sing and do impressions and be funny. And yes, he is a GOAT. He is without a doubt a GOAT, man. Literally. You look at him, you look at people like Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is talented like that as well, where he's just got multiple things. He plays piano, he plays instruments, he sings, you know, he of course he directs, produces, he has all these things, but able to adapt to any apparatus and be great at it. All around, like an all-American type of entertainer. And yeah, you're right. Jamie does not get the amount of love that he should get. But yeah.
Well, he is loved and he's respected, but he is next level. Yeah. And I think that maybe it's just that little next level part.
Yeah.
Because he does it all. But you have the same qualities. I mean, you have the same. You need a kind of physicality to sort of pull it off that you have and Eddie Murphy has, and you have to be able. You can't do it in Danny DeVito's body, really. You have to have a kind of a physicality, and then you have to be able to do the impressions, which is really pretty God-given.
Yeah.
If you just can't do it, you just can't do it. If you can, you start when you're 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I still.
So you have that. And you have an aesthetic, like good looking, you know,
thank
which
you
is
so
all,
much.
all helpful in that world.
I have to remind myself about these things every day.
I'll remind you.
Thank you. Not enough DMs, Adam. Not enough DMs.
You start doing impressions early?
At 6 years old.
6 years old.
It was Gilbert Gottfried was the first one. Then it just evolved into there was Sally Field and Forrest Gump and Bubba, whatever his name was on that movie, all the people in that movie. And then it was more cartoon characters, Ed, and Eddie, freaking Johnny Bravo and the Looney Tunes. And then it turned into Eddie Murphy and Cat Williams and Bernie Mac and all these other guys. And I don't even say this a lot, but when I was growing up, I used to watch Ricky Smiley a lot. I don't think that he gets a lot of credit. He's one of the funniest dudes. My parents used to play his prank calls on the way to church conventions.
Oh, radio, yeah.
We would just listen to those. And then also his all of his sets on Comic View that he did. When he was talking about the funeral that he had for his homeboys in the hood. He said one of the homeboys came up and he put a rim on the casket and just spun it, and it stood there for like 20 seconds. But the physicality of it was so funny. He had the actual rim
spinner,
and he put it down, but he had a 20 and it was spinning, and he was sitting there. It was funny. It was
I always thought the spinner rim that was preferred by the African American driver was very hazardous. Because
you don't have rims on you didn't put spinning rims on your car? You had
no. I think I could get away with it as a white guy, and I'll tell you why. Because I always thought the LAPD would walk up on the car, look down, and see the rims speeding, and think the guy was peeling out, trying to take off, and start shooting. That's why I wouldn't do it if I had a black adopted son. I'd say no spinners for you. But
I didn't even think like that. I didn't think it was
It looks like the car's moving.
Yeah, it is. They spinning. Little Chris Rock said.
But you got pulled over. You talked about it in your special, right?
Yeah.
Pushed down by the LAPD.
It wasn't even pulled. Yeah, pulled over. I was just running. I was running down Ventura, and it was the craziest thing. I said, "Get on the ground!" I'm like, "Yo, what the hell? The officer comes up, and then 3 more officers come out of the car. They got their guns. I'd never been in a situation like that. I'm from Virginia, Chesapeake, Virginia. I mean, I'd never even got a ticket up until that point. And when I got stopped by officers where I was from, you know, they didn't even, like, I got warnings, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I would always, if I get stopped, my parents always instilled, you know, politeness in us. So it was always yes, sir, no, ma'am, whatever. So when officers, if you answer like that, they automatically, their guard is down a little bit, you know. They lower it.
You can de-escalate with
Absolutely.
those guys by just kissing ass,
Right.
essentially. And then people always go, why should I have to kiss their ass?
Right.
And I go, I don't know, so you don't get shot.
No.
I don't know. And they go, was that okay? And I go, no, but in the moment, it'd be nice to
Exactly, because
de-escalate.
They don't know what they're expecting. They don't know what they're gonna get, and you don't know what they're gonna do.
Right.
So it's just like as long as everybody kind of just keeps it cordial, then a situation doesn't have to escalate to somebody dying. But there have been cases where people have been cordial and things will happen because you have those type of police in the system. But you can't be like, I want to get rid of the police because of course we need them. You know what I mean? We have to have.
So you're jogging
system.
in L.A.
Yeah, this was right on there in the valley, man. Right in the valley.
In
Jogging,
Ventura Boulevard.
Ventura Boulevard. Get on the ground. What the hell?
Oh, you're jogging like Martin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was.
I don't know if your brother should be jogging in the valley.
I wanted to exercise because I had to run because
Right.
you know I have physically.
So you're jogging,
Yeah.
and they yell, "Get on the ground."
Yep. And then I get on the ground and I see these officers come up and they put me in handcuffs, which had never happened before. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, son, I'm telling y'all. I'm like, dude, you might want to do some Google real quick. You might want to Google real quick because I ain't no criminal, dog. You feel me? I'm Jay Pharoah. I'm an entertainer. Hey, what's going on with you? And then, I mean, it didn't last. It didn't escalate and go over to, you know, the bad thing. But, you know, if I would have had the improper attitude where I was just like, F y'all, it could have went that way. Who knows what would have happened, you know?
Yeah, I had a cop running at me, pumping a shotgun a few years ago in my neighborhood. Just jumped out of his car, grabbed a shotgun, and pumped it, and started running toward me.
How did that make you feel?
Not comfortable. So I was walking my dog. All I did was, he didn't say anything.
Right.
I just put both of my hands as far away from my body as I could get them. I didn't even put them up.
You Leonardo DiCaprio.
I went full Leonardo on
Titanic.
the cross.
Yeah.
I just went
On a cross.
a full out crucifix as far as I could get my hands away from. I was at night.
Uppercase T. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe lower with my head. But anyway,
I mean, but
I didn't want to bring my hands up. I thought it would have been too much motion. I just went as wide as I could go with my hands, and I
stuck 'em
just
right here.
stood there like an airplane. And the guy just ran past me and yelled, "Get the hell out of here!"
Oh,
and he was
wow.
running toward a house.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't know a lot about cop etiquette, but if you're going to jump out of the car and pump the shotgun and hold it at your hip and start running toward me, that will tend to scare me a little.
Yeah.
But he ended the house. But the point is you got about 4 seconds to not get shot. In my brain, I'm going to do anything in my power to not get shot. So all I could think of is put my hands as wide as I could.
That mean.
But
same idea I had.
you got through this. But so you started. Did people? I think I always ask comedians, and the question I always want to know is, was your family encouraging of you? And I could see it with voices being easier for a family to digest,
Right.
Versus this 9-year-old is funny, because 9-year-olds really aren't that funny. They may be funny for 9-year-olds, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you're just a comic if you're going to be a comic one day, but right now you're just a goofy 9-year-old, most parents don't pull you aside and go, "You got a gift."
Yeah, no.
They just go, "Shut up."
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you have this gift of doing the voices,
Yeah.
then I could see a parent pulling you aside or a teacher.
But they saw that when they knew that I could do it. My parents were in the shadows about my talent because I was petrified to even do anything in front of them when I was younger. I was a little introverted. I would do it at school, in pockets at church. They knew I did it. My uncles, they knew, but they didn't really know that. They knew I said crazy stuff and I would get in trouble and I would make people cry, and I didn't mean to. I made a lot of people cry because I was joking them. You know what I mean? That was my thing. I just roast somebody. You feel me? A Libra. Yeah. I had a sharp tongue. But as far as just being like the funny kid, nah, hell no. They wanted me to get a trade. They didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I mean, it was like they sent me to trade school for computers, for trying to get my A+ certification and all of that. They didn't know what the hell I was going to do, but they were happy that it worked out. But when they found the talent, my dad put me in a competition when I was 16, and they did support. I had a big support system.
Your dad put you in a competition?
Yeah, when I was 16. He Joe Jackson the shit out of me. Yeah, that's what he did.
5th place, I recall.
5th place. God dang, man, you are good.
I did my homework on you.
Damn
man.
sure did.
So, what did he put you in when you were 16?
It was this talent competition called the Virginia Idol Talent Search. And out of the whole thing, it was like 300 players, and I got 5th place out of it, like you said.
Oh, that's good.
Place. Yeah. I mean, beat the comedians, but, there was 4 singers in front of me. Uh-huh. You're not going to beat a note. Sorry.
And you were doing impressions?
Yeah.
Then?
I was doing impressions, and I was talking about pop culture, whatever was happening. I mean, what was hot at that time, R. Kelly was, that was the first round of the R. Kelly situation. So I talked about him as Bernie Mac, and I would talk about him as the crocodile hunter, and I talked about how Justin Timberlake whooped out Janet Jackson's breasts. I think I remember it as Bernie Mac. It's probably not as funny now because I was 16 when I did this, but I was like, I said, you whooped out a motherfucking breast. And let's talk about motherfucker R. Kelly. You knew there was a motherfucking child. Let me tell you how you knew. You took off a shirt, she had on a training bra. No motherfucker mature got on no training bra. You wanted that young kitten. You wanted that young sugar. That's what you like. And people would laugh. And I was a kid. My dad was helping me write the bits at the time.
Really?
Yeah. So it worked.
I swear to God, I think by the time I got to the end, with Bernie for like Ocean's 13 or something, or whatever it was, or maybe it was Transformers or something. I don't think I could understand him at the end. He was so Bernie that I literally just knew what he meant.
He was one of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could tell by his facial expressions what he's implying.
Right, but I'm not sure if I was a stenographer.
He speaks Bernie.
Right. If he was up in court and he was giving testimony in court and I was a stenographer.
Let me tell you what the fuck it was. That motherfucker was over there.
Hold on.
That's my bitch.
Something happened with the war?
Yeah, the motherfucker war happened. The motherfucker pop off, and the shit happened. And then some of the bitch ran up there and he had a gun and he started to pop shit off.
All right, Judge, we got to just stop for a second.
No, we can't stop because I ain't get to the best part. Then I shot the motherfucker. And then that's what happened.
In the war, you said?
In the motherfucking war. And I'm telling you, what I said, a war. No, I ain't say the war. I said a war. The war did it. The war.
The war?
The war, and he motherfucking said he did it. I'm trying to tell you, the motherfucker did it, center right there. Y'all looking at me like a motherfucker did it. I ain't do shit.
Imagine the court stenographer with Bernie Sanders.
Trying to type it off.
Yeah, Bernie.
You say Bernie Sanders.
I said Bernie Sanders. Wrong Bernie. I just can't. I don't think they could keep up.
Nah.
But it's interesting. It's almost like talking, like I used to work construction. Everyone spoke Spanish. I spoke a little Spanish. I knew what they were talking about, but we weren't really communicating, but I knew what they were pointing at, talking about what they meant.
You knew if they were trying to cook you. You could tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you were doing Bernie back then.
Bernie, Crocodile Hunter, Cat Williams, Buford, one of Ricky Smiley's characters. Yeah,
Cat, I don't know if you watched Cat's last stand-up special on Netflix.
I didn't see that one. I saw clips of it.
It felt to me like he needed to prep a little more for that one. He felt like he just walked out and was just talking for
like just
I'm just gonna get out here, whatever happens, it's gonna happen. And they're going to love it because I am who I am. They're just... I don't need to prep. I don't need to do that.
That's the thing. Like at a certain point when you transcend sort of the job of comedian, and now it's not like we're watching comedian Dave Chappelle, we're just watching Dave Chappelle.
Right.
And then Dave Chappelle can pull up a stool, light a cigarette.
Say whatever
for as long as he wants. And it's an evening with Dave Chappelle, you know, because at the beginning, you're on the clock. Like, hey, man, we need some jokes, fucker.
Right.
We're on the clock. Get going with the jokes.
But
you know what I mean?
Once you are that, like you're saying, once you are up there in that nebula of just being yourself, then it doesn't matter. But
I don't think it serves you sometimes.
But I feel like, don't you feel like Cat gave us a special? But he did give us a special with that Shannon Sharp interview before that joint came out.
It is true.
So it's like he had more roast. He was like, that was essentially a special. You know, he had been working on them damn jokes. He had just been like,
this is probably funny. I can't wait to talk to Shannon about this. Everybody's gonna lose their fucking mind. You know, all lies will be exposed in 2024. That's all. And it don't even matter. It's God's side versus that side. And the people that's offended know why they offended. That shit was an hour and a half.
I know.
Of brilliance. I still watch it to see if he says my name. He hasn't yet.
Is he, I mean, he must have a bunch of P. Diddy stuff, right?
Boy.
I mean, he must. I don't know. Do you know have any insight
about the situation? I mean, I met him before. He gave me creep vibes. He was a creep. You know what I mean? He was trying to get me to sign to his lawyer, and I didn't.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, he was trying to get me to sign to his lawyer. But I mean, thinking from a business aspect.
What does that mean, sign to his lawyer?
His lawyer was trying to get me as a client, and apparently my sister's my manager, if you don't know, you know. Mm-hmm. I say it in special, of course. But he had already met with her, and she said, we're still going to go and weigh our options. I didn't know that, you know. So he thought he could jump the gun, talk to P. Diddy, because he was going to come. He was at SNL. He came, I think it was December 2010, and he was just like, yo, I need some help. Yo, get Jay Pharoah to see if you can get him to sign with me. And Diddy was like, yeah, I got that. And then, you know, I didn't. Once I found out what was happening, I was like, yeah, I don't really rock with this. And I'm thinking about all of the bad boy artists. Do you know any bad boy artists who had a career after they got signed to Bad Boy?
No.
Besides Faith Williams, who really didn't even have a luxurious career like some other R&B singers have had. None of them. So why would I sign with you or anything affiliated with you? I know when you're telling me your deals never get screwed. Yeah, your deals never get screwed. But me as an artist, I'm a sacrificial lamb when it comes to you. And you might try to clap my cheeks. I don't want that shit to happen. You know what I'm saying? You're a cheek clapper. You clap cheeks.
What is it? So do you think everything is just... my theory is more power-based than sexual proclivities. So if I go, hey, good-looking gay guy and good-looking gay guy, you guys go blow each other in the corner, they go, sure, we're going to do it anyway.
Right.
But if I say good-looking straight guy, you two go blow each other, and they go, hold on, I don't want to do that. I go, I know. That's how you know I'm in charge.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I can get you to do shit you don't want to do sexually, which is sort of the ultimate power. You know, getting someone to detail your car, that's some power, but you're $65 away from that kind of power, you know. But getting a man or woman to do something they don't want to do or wouldn't normally do sexually with somebody,
it's a power thing.
That's a power thing.
It is, and it is a power thing with him. From, you know, everything that I have heard, and of course, who knows, you hear all types of stuff. But when you get to that level, you know, a lot of these guys who are in those positions, not just Diddy, let's talk about people across the board, you know, everybody of power who has got that type of influence, they get tired and they're like, I want to use my power to make people do things because I am who I am. And that's the problem. And that's why Harvey Weinstein, all these other folks have been going down.
They get tired of just being rich.
Right.
And
I don't know if I'll ever get to the point, though, where I'll make so much money. I'll be like, hey, man, you know what? I done had enough coochie. I'm so sick of vagina. I want to try some butt. Because you know what? I've had everything else. So bring on the booty, baby. I don't know if I'd ever get to that. Matter of fact, I know I'll never get to that point.
Yeah,
Never.
that was my Richard Gere gerbil theory, which is once you're sleeping with Cindy Crawford full time, there's nowhere to go but gerbils. You know what I mean? Banging a Raiderette is no big deal if you're banging a 26-year-old Cindy Crawford.
I mean, come on, hamster. He could have upgraded. He could have put a hamster in there.
I didn't even know there's a difference.
It's a little bigger. Gerbil's like the smaller one. The hamster, he's a little bigger. Matter of fact, if Richard Gere, they didn't put this in the news, but he put guinea pigs up his ass. Y'all didn't know that?
Yeah.
He had guinea
You know what
pigs.
I like about the whole gerbil Richard Gere story is I go, oh, get the hell out of here. And then someone starts, I go, how would you even get it? And they go, well, they declaw the gerbil. And I go, okay, I'm listening. And they put him in
I'm listening.
They put him in a paper towel tube. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, a roll tube. Yeah. And then they blow smoke. So and now I'm going, I didn't know it was this much of a science was involved with this.
Yeah.
But I think when you're Diddy, at some point you've been rich long enough that you literally get bored of it. And then there's kind of a Bill Gates version of that, which is I'm going to reshape society.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's kind of a old school Diddy version, which is sort of Roman orgy-esque.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there's I'm God, and I'm going to reshape our society.
Absolutely.
That's the other rich version.
And you see with people like Jeff Bezos and other folks who've definitely talked about. I don't know, man. It was an article. It was an article out and it disappeared. It was there, but it disappeared. It was talking about Jeff Bezos wanting to unite the world under one power. I was like, oh, well, that's revelation.
Right.
2 weeks later, it was gone. You couldn't find it.
Right. So these guys, it used to be that if you were rich, you wanted a library named after you.
Right.
Or they wanted your name on some building somewhere.
Now, now it's just I want 1,000 bottles of oil, and I want to be able to slip everybody up. That's what I want to do.
Well, that's on one end, and then the other end is I want to reshape civilization.
I get what you're saying.
I'm tired of people eating meat. I'm tired of people driving their cars. I'm tired. I want to colonize Mars. You know, like I'm going full biblical reshaping of the world versus the old school. You know, we're past the lube.
Okay, so
kind of P. Diddy version.
So Antichrist and closet Antichrist. I got it.
Yeah. I think that's it's kind of urban version.
Yep.
Versus scary white guy version.
That's the only thing we're trying to do. We're just trying to get the liquor. We're trying to get all the liquor. We're trying to get all the liquor, give people that. We're trying to make them enjoy that and have parties. That's all we want to do.
I've never been to one. You ever been to one of those parties?
Hell the fuck no. I have not been to one of those parties. Hell no.
Well,
I've never been so happy to not be at a party. I've gone to a party in my life. I'm so happy.
No, I feel the same way. Like when people. I've worked in this town for 30 years. I've never been to an Epstein or any flights or any Weinstein or I've never even seen these guys. And
I think that's just I don't know about you, but me, it does have something to do with my grounding, my spiritual grounding, and I'm an introvert, so I don't really like being out there like that anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Are you an introvert? I mean,
I'm a super introvert.
So I just watched you being an extrovert on stage.
Yeah, that's my job, though.
No, I get it. I completely get it. I'm the same way. Just quiet when I'm not doing something I should be doing, or in a certain environment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But you can turn it on, man.
Yeah, man.
And you can really turn it on. But I think that's the key, right? To be able to turn it on and then shut it off.
Yep, just like Gilbert Gottfried. Back to the first impression that I did. You remember Gilbert? Rest in peace to him. When he was on stage, he was a character. When he got off stage, he's real quiet and docile.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to know where the food was. He liked free food. Every time
you know what a food is? Is a food over here?
He was the cheapest guy in the world. Took all the food home with him.
Oh, he was one of my aunts. That's hilarious.
He was like your aunt in that if he showed up to do morning radio, and sometimes they'd have some bagels or some cream cheese or some coffee or something.
A bag?
He'd take it with him. He brought it home. Did your aunt do that?
Yes. In to-go plates. Where are the to-go plates and where's the foil? in all ways.
Is that any of that really connected to hunger or money, or is it just a kind of disease?
No, I mean, for some people, I can't. Every situation is different. Like, I don't know. I can't speak to my aunt's situation. God bless her. She just likes to-go plate. She'll take a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if that's a mental thing, or I don't know if they're really struggling at the house. I ain't been there in years, so I don't know. I don't know how it looks, you feel me? But some people, I think it is a sickness, just like, kleptomaniacs and anything,
Dude, so for me...
Yeah. You wouldn't take the bagels.
So here's what I would do. I would go nuts if I thought someone was going to throw them away, because I hate waste.
Got you.
And I would actually, in most cases, if somebody said, there's a half a steak and we're going to throw it away, but you can't take it with you, but if you give me $10, I'll make sure somebody gets it. I would give you $10 not to waste a half a steak, because it drives me nuts. There was a thing, Joe, it was a few weeks ago. I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or X or TMZ or something, but some guy went to like an all-you-can-eat seafood place, and I think it was lobster night or something, and he loaded up like 5 plates of lobster, and they said you can do 1 plate at a time. And he's like, there's no rule that says, and they ended up throwing away like 14 lobster tails, and I was going nuts just watching at home, like you're just dumping it in the garbage can. Right. I'm going nuts.
Should have gave those 14 lobster tails to that man and let him walk out with it. You weren't going to do shit with it anyway.
I agree, but then you're opening the door for the next guy who comes up with 5 plates of lobster tails.
I mean, shit. Well, listen. If I'm at Captain George's and I paid my money, I got to pile that plate up, baby.
No, I'm with you. Like, that's the only time I've ever had to, I went to a casino, did the buffet, tried to make it back to the room, and had to stop and pull up a chair and just sit for a while, because I did so much damage to that buffet because I was poor and I was hungry. That's how I grew up.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to be hungry if you're poor. You could have someone who cooks, but I didn't have that. So I was poor and hungry, and that's why I had this energy. Oh, we got the lobster guy? What'd he do?
Appreciate you, boss. Appreciate that.
Oh, why did he have to be black? God damn.
Oh, damn it.
More lobster or not?
You can have more lobster once you've completed these, sir.
I have to eat all this first. To be clear, the rules are that I have to finish a plate before I go back to the buffet.
For the lobsters, yes. We have a sign right over there.
It says 1 per plate.
Yes.
It doesn't say you have to eat the plate before you come back, though.
What was that?
I wasn't even talking to you. Who are you? Who are you? I wasn't talking to you.
Poor guy.
You're not supposed to be back here. You're not supposed to be back here.
And you're throwing them away.
I was crawling out of my skin watching this, and I was like, I hate this guy so much. I crawled out of my skin.
Pit of my stomach.
I do like when the guy with the man purse tries to get involved. It's common sense. Well, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, was anybody? That's how it is. If we violating, if anybody is violating on the black side, if y'all got something to say about it, they got nothing to do with you. Mind your goddamn business. You stay your ass over there, okay? Yes, I'm gonna walk out here with these 14 lobsters. They didn't get the ones he had in his drawers.
Well, also, if you have a man purse, you can't chime in.
Nah.
That's like a modern day wind up beanie
and a pompadour with a receding hairline. Like, what are you doing? You hate yourself. Just get rid of it. What are you doing? Shave it, cockatoo.
that drove me nuts. Drove me nuts. So you grow up. Your dad is encouraging and does what for a living?
My mother and father both used to work for the government. I have no clue what they did.
Really?
But there was food on the table, so I don't care.
They didn't want to tell you?
They told me a couple of times. I got ADD. I don't remember what the hell they said. I think my mother was a systems manager for the government, and my father, he does electrical work, so he did a lot of inspection. So he was an inspector. Matter of fact, I told you exactly what my parents just did. I just gave you the synopsis.
So your dad was a hands-on guy.
Absolutely, and still to this day, he'll still, he's one of those old school dads that just knows how to, y'all's generation, y'all know how to fix shit. I halfway know how to fix shit because of him.
But he had a trade.
Yes.
But even though he was a trades guy. He had enough savvy to know you had ability.
He's funny as hell. Yeah, of course. He's naturally funny. All of my family is naturally funny. So he saw the talent. He was like, I've never seen that. And I didn't know you could do that to the extent that you do it.
Did he have aspirations for performing himself?
I'm sure. But a lot of people are good off stage. And when you get them on stage, the nervousness kicks up. That's something that I didn't have because I started in theater when I was 8. So I was already ready. I was already on stages. So me having stage fright was never a factor doing stand-up comedy. You know, even if it could be, I could be bombing sometimes and shit, you ain't gonna get me off the stage. I'm gonna stay up here and do what the hell I gotta do because I'm not scared of y'all. Well, other people, you know, things don't work and they'll start panicking. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, and they'll get nervous or whatever. Hell no. But if you've been in that environment for so long, it's just like, dude, it's just like shooting a foul, shooting a free throw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you started at 8.
Yeah, I started theater at 8 years old. So I'll tell you this though, I did have a moment when I was doing theater where I had the stage fright. And that happened because I didn't know my lines. And that that's when I was 9 years old and I was playing Powhatan from Pocahontas, and Mr. Sammons, he was an actor. He had aspirations as an actor himself. Mr. Sammons knew I didn't know the lines, but he was like, yo, I guess this is gonna teach him a lesson in the long run. And I got up there in front of all of the faculty, staff, and teachers, the faculty, staff, and not teachers, parents. And I didn't know my lines. And the kids in the back, they were feeding me lines. But that feeling that I had, and I got through it, that feeling that I had, I said, I never want to have that feeling again. So I always make sure I was well prepared. And cut to this, when I was 16 years old, I was doing a play called, it was called Damn Yankees. That's what it was. It was Damn Yankees. I was playing Mr. Applegate. And the lead dropped out 2 weeks before opening night. And Miss Shula gave me the part. And I learned the lines. Not only did I learn it, smashed it, and opening night, Mr. Sammons was there.
That's the story you want.
I get off stage, and he comes up to me. He hugs me. He said, I always knew you had it in you. I was just trying to bring it out of you. That's it. And then, you know, that was emotional. So I was like, man, fuck you, Mr. Sammons, but thank you. And it was just, it was cool. But like you're saying, just like my dad was able to see the talent, people can see when you have something different about you. It's just the onus is on you to be able to keep evolving, pushing yourself, and to put yourself in front of folks in a different way. Because you can't, I mean, you're not gonna change the wheel. You know what I'm saying? You can't recreate the wheel, but you can add a little bit different to it and you can keep it going. So, you know.
We'll take a quick break, come back with Jay Pharoah right after this. Simply Safe. If you're like me, you think about safety and you think about people. And that's who you value the most because you can replace the watch or the necklace, but the people. And there's a lot of crime, especially going on here in L.A. I mean, every time you turn on the radio, some other celebrity got their home busted into, and those are just the ones they're reporting on. I've trusted Simply Safe to protect my home for over a decade now, and I've partnered with Simply Safe to offer my listeners 20% off a system. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. We all use it here. And when you pick up and move, you pick up your Simply Safe system and you move with it. It's not hardwired. They also have exclusive live guard protection. Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to the intruders inside of your home. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News & World Report 5 years running. And Best Customer Service by Newsweek. It is Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
Protect your home this summer with 20% off any new Simply Safe system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/Adam. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Trump, he don't give a fuck. Trump has got like Asperger's and Tourette syndrome. Whatever he wants to say, he says it. There's no filter. He does not give a care. He'll just be like, you're a fat, ugly, disgusting bitch. The biggest, fattest, bigliest, ugliest bitch ever created. Only
Only fit for a zoo. Only fit for a zoo.
I can't wait to see him out there on the prison yard just saying gangster shit. He's just sitting there. Somebody walk up to him, hey man, what's going on with your Trumps? And he's like, first off, fuck your set and the click you claim. West side where we ride, we come quick with game. You claim to be a player, you do, you really do. But guess what? I fucked your wife, grabbed her by the pussy. It was absolutely phenomenal. Edward.
Jay Pharoah is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Jared is the name of the special. I recommend it highly. It's on YouTube right now. It's got 500,000 plus views, I think, the last time I checked.
Well, we're going to knock that halfway. So it's 268, but we good. It's been out a week, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Someone told me
that's
check
cool.
this morning. All right, well, we'll get to 500.
Yes, we will.
They're eating your cats, they're eating your dogs, they're eating the cats and the dogs. They're actually turning puppies into hush puppies.
But you really landed with Obama, I think, right? That was the big one. And yeah, he's gone gray, as you were talking about.
He went from jet black to Cisco, man.
In the special. But was that, I mean, that really went viral, right?
Well, before I got SNL?
Yeah.
You know, it was a multitude of videos that actually went viral, but the Obama one was watched because, you know, as on SNL, they didn't have any, they had Fred Armisen, and he was, you know, he wasn't a black man, so a lot of people got up in arms about it. They were like, there needs to be a black dude on SNL doing Obama, and me being 21, 22 at the time. 21 when they said that, but, you know, 22 when I got the job. You know, I focused on, you know, trying to make my Obama better. And I was like, yo, if I end up on the show, because I wanted to get on the show, I never knew how I could get on the show because I'm a kid from Chesapeake, Virginia. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I just spoke it. I wasn't in the Groundlings or, you know, UCB or, you know, what's the one in Chicago? These guys.
Yeah, Second City.
Second City.
Yeah,
I wasn't in
the Groundlings.
You were in the Groundlings. See,
yeah.
You know, but you had a sketch background. I didn't really have that. So
yeah, I couldn't do voices though. So, you know, that was the end of me. But
I mean, was it? Was it though? Was it though, Adam? Was it though? I don't think it was.
I like to look at it as the end of me.
Wasn't a freaking end of you, man. You know how many, you don't even know. As a young Jay Pharoah, I watched you and I watched your partner over and over again. You know, a lot of it had to do with me having a weird stocking fetish when I was, and then that one joined Vanessa with the jugs. Oh yeah, I remember her. But
Juggy Vanessa.
But dog, you like big bro. I was like, yo, these guys are hilarious. They're doing something that nobody has done on television like they're doing it. And I mean, I loved it. So it wasn't a freaking end shit.
Well, you know, it was weird. I had a moment where I wanted to be a groundling and I couldn't, I never became a groundling. I went all the way through the groundlings, but I never was a groundling, you know.
I thought you were saying that you were.
I realized it sounded that way, so I want to correct the record. And I did work at McDonald's, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't eat McDonald's food. Anything that can be changed into furniture, I don't like it.
So I always wanted to be a groundling.
Yeah.
I never got to be a groundling. Later on, I got on TV, and the groundlings were shooting a TV show, and they would have celebrities come back and guest whatever. And so I would go back to the groundlings as the celebrity for Night with the Groundlings celebrity host, which was me. But I was standing backstage at the Groundlings looking at guys who were Groundlings.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh, man, you hit the jackpot. You hit the jackpot. And they were like, I have 3 roommates.
Like, why are you on television?
I had to take the bus here. They're like, you're on MTV and you're on Comedy Central. And I'd go, yeah, but you're a Groundling. And they'd go, I got 3 roommates, man. And I live in Van Nuys. You're on TV and you have a house up in the hills. And I still in my mind thought they were the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a groundling and I never was able to be a groundling. So the SNL, how did that all come about for you?
I mean, from just watching it as a kid, you know, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, and then, you know, always wanting to be on that show, being told that you should be on the show, aspiring to be on the show, but having no connection. I literally just spoke it into existence, and it happened. I started going on the road, coming up to New York, doing showcases. I got an agent, Jay Pharoah, shout out to him, still at CAA to this day. He saw me. We put together an audition tape for the show, and that was my link in. And the producers saw it. They called me in to test. I got it the first time I tested.
What did you do in the audition, and how long was the audition?
5 minutes. Audition was 5 minutes, and I did 6 impressions and 2 characters. The 2 characters I'm gonna tell you about first. One was Chuck Obama. That was Barack Obama's subconscious. All the shit he couldn't say. And you know, that was before Key and Peele. That was before Key and Peele. And then and they didn't know me. I didn't know them. So it was just
Key and Peele.
Yeah, it was just freaking Key and Peele.
Yeah.
And I did Barnabas Dunkley. He was this black Jewish 30-year-old guy who still lived at home with his mom, and he was selling Microsoft equipment from the 90s, and people would just keep hanging up on him saying weird shit because he was 30 years old working at his still with his mom trying to sell old computer piece of software. And then I did six impressions. So it was Will Smith. It was Denzel Washington's driving school. I remember that. Will Smith as a tour guide. It was Chris Tucker in an insane asylum. It was Eddie Murphy in a library as a librarian. And it was Stewie from Family Guy as I don't even remember what the hell situation I had him in. And then it was one more I did. Who else? And then I just did Barack. I just did Barack. So and I got the job. And
how long after the audition did they tell you that?
3 weeks. And the guy, I remember the gentleman that was he was shooting it. He said that was one of the best auditions we've had in a long time. He said you should be very proud of yourself no matter what happens. I was like, all right, cool.
The guy who saw all the auditions said that.
I'm dead ass. No bullshit. Up until that point, that was working the camera.
Well, that's what you want to hear.
It's confidence.
Yeah. So you get the call.
Yep.
And now it's time to go.
Now it's time to go to New York.
How long after you got the call? 3 weeks later, but then how long before the first episode?
3 weeks later, and then the first episode was 3 weeks after that.
Wow. So it's on.
It was on September 25th, baby. Prime time. Jay Pharoah. I mean, my girl. The reason I got the job though,
and you were like 22.
I was 22 years old.
Wow.
The reason I got the job was because my girlfriend pissed me off. She pissed me off. She broke up with me before the audition. And I said, okay, motherfucker. I said, I'm going to show you something. And then I went in there and I made it a point to just hit it, like do a great job. And it worked out. And then my dumb ass went back. But it was cool. It was cool because we ended up not working out later. And we're still friends to this day. But yeah, she's the reason. I find when I need to prove people wrong, I always arise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And that's what I like doing. I like you with the egg.
So kind of the point. So now we're at the point where it's like you do want to be motivated, but you don't want to be Michael Jordan, maybe where you're overly competitive about everything all the time, or you can't just go out and shoot a round of golf without betting on every hole.
Right.
Like, so then that becomes its own kind of burden, even though it does propel you to greatness sometimes, but you might not have a happy life or marriage or what have you, or relationship with your kids. So it's like, how do you balance the motivation? You know, they'll do that thing where it's like, they do that thing after the team wins the Super Bowl and they're screaming, nobody thought we could win except for the people in this. And it's like, you were an 8-point favorite going into the Super Bowl. What do you mean nobody? The people went to Vegas and bet millions and millions of dollars that you'd win. But they realize they need that chip, that edge. Like nobody outside of this locker room thinks you guys are any good. It's like you're 7-1. They think you're pretty good. You know,
you've kind of proved yourself.
You've proved yourself.
But I feel like those people feel like they prove themselves, not to themselves though. I think it's a barrier. It's inside of you want to break into. Like even with the comedy special, man. It's like everybody knows I can do great voices. That is not a question. But could people see if I could craft jokes together in a way? Could I do it? Could I do that? I mean, it was easy for me to do it when I did a school set or if I did a church set because I knew the environment. But now it's like when you're out there, what is he going to do besides these voices? You know?
Yeah.
And people, and like you're saying, when folks around, they already know. Like people that go to the live shows, but the world, I felt like they know. I gotta show it to them.
No,
You know what I mean?
listen, I just recently shot a clean special. 45 minutes of clean.
Excuse me? Really?
Clean.
I did 30 clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do it for?
I did it for Metaverse, for the Metaverse, Soapstone Comedy. It's like these specials they're putting together. But go ahead.
Yeah, I did it for Dry Bar.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I was like, now people go why or how or something, but I give the same answer I give them when I did Dancing with the Stars. People go, well, why'd you do Dancing with the Stars? I go, because they asked me and it sounded scary. And I as soon as they asked me and it sounded scary, and then I went, okay, well, now I got to see if I can do this.
So you like the uncomfortability of it and rising to the occasion.
I think you get a lot of good results out of pushing yourself a little bit and doing things that you wouldn't normally do and maybe getting out of your comfort zone, you know? And so they're like, well, you got to do 45 minutes in front of this half Mormon crowd in Utah. And I'm like, I don't think I've done 5 clean minutes. I don't know about 45 clean minutes, you know? And I did it. I did it. I treated it like a job or like a challenge. You know, I started going, all right, let's start figuring out the jokes you could do, the jokes you can't do, the ones that can be modified, the ones where you can swap a word out. It doesn't, and also a sort of feeling of, oh yeah, I guess you didn't really need to end it with a fuck or shit. You could have just said damn or heck or hell or whatever. Like it didn't need that. You know?
That's exactly how I felt when I did mine. I didn't know because I'm so used to just letting them fly. And seeing them land and using substitutes and still having the same effect just solidifies the thought that I don't need these words. I can go this way if I want to.
It's a little liberating, even though you feel like it's confining, but it's really not. It's kind of a challenge, you know? And I do think the Seinfelds and the Lenos and those kind of guys do
the Gaffigans.
They do that. And I was also going to bring it up, maybe just because I talked to other Jay Leno earlier today about some car thing. But I've seen Jay perform a million times. He's done stuff I've done, you know, stuff. He never goes into the Dave Chappelle mode. He's like, I'm here to tell jokes. I'll tell jokes. I'm Jay Leno. I tell jokes. Meaning he knows he's Jay Leno.
Right.
And he could get up there and talk for 3 or 4 minutes without telling a joke, but he doesn't. He's like, I am a goddamn comedian and I tell jokes and I'm not ever going to get bigger than the jokes. And what I'm here to do.
Right.
And he's the same on stage. Before anyone knew he was Jay Leno to now household name Jay Leno, same thing.
Right.
15 minutes, 35 jokes, boom, boom, boom. Here we go. You know what I mean?
Back to back.
Right.
Yeah.
No sort of basking in the glory of, all right, everyone, you're happy to see me because I'm Jay Leno. He doesn't do it. He's just a comedian.
I clock in, I clock out when I say goodnight.
Right.
Shit. Yeah.
And I think it serves them well. And I think it's like, you know, you talk about being motivated by I'll show you kind of thing, which I think that's it's also a young man's game. I'll show you. It's a little more, it's a younger thing. As you get older.
You don't give a fuck. Sorry,
well, you know,
you don't care. I'm trying to stop. I'm trying to stop cursing in general. So there we go.
What it is you start worrying about unrealized ability or talent. Like, I don't know if you think that way, but you go, I want to do this not because I need the money or the recognition, but it's because I think I have the ability to do it and I need to do it, you know? And then it becomes like, how much potential do you want to waste?
Right.
And that's the concern when you get older. So now it's a little less I'll show you and a little more I'll show myself.
Right. I get you. Yeah, for sure. Can I do that? Hey, I'm working on that same thing. I'm like I just said, I'm trying to extract curse words from my speech anyway, because I know, and I really don't curse a lot when I'm off. I really don't curse a lot when I'm off stage, but when I'm on stage, man, I could just, some of it is just, it comes off, it's gratuitous. You don't need it. I don't need it to be funny.
It gets I feel as a guy who doesn't have a crutch because I'm heterosexual, I'm white, and I'm over 6 foot, and I'm not morbidly obese. I can't do the, am I right, ladies? Dating. Come on, ladies. You know what I mean? Like, I can't I don't really have anything built in I can fall back on.
You just have you. Yeah.
Right. So then swearing sometimes becomes that little crutch, that little thing you do fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you eliminate it, then you can almost do an act. Like I said, it always bothers me when somebody's gets up there and they're fat and everything's fat jokes, or they get up there and they have a certain look and it's all about that,
right.
or whatever. Am I right, ladies? Like I like a female comedian just to be funny.
Give it up for yourselves.
Right? Yeah, right. All that sort of jacking off into a ceiling fan kind of shit. Sorry about the swearing, but what I'm saying is yeah, okay, ladies, you're outdoors and we're at a place and you have a drink. Okay, let's go. Like do the act. Right. So I think, as the guy with no crutches, I think swearing sometimes can be, and then sometimes there's a little shock value to it, where it's like what you said wasn't even really that funny, but it's just you said it with a lot of vigor, and there was some profanity in it, and it got a reaction.
It was the delivery. It wasn't the substance. It was the delivery of it.
So, what is your process? Do you write? Do you write on stage?
I write on stage, man. Most of the things are freestyles that I just remember and put down. And I just found that was a better way for me to come up with material, because I'd write long bits and I'd be sitting and writing them, and then I'm like, oh, this is gonna kill. And I get on stage and I really don't get a lot of reaction. It's like, wait a minute, but my freestyles that I was just coming off the top of my head killing, and I tried to use my written and it didn't work. So it's been like that my whole life. Even with rapping, it's better. I found myself better at freestyling. So what you're doing when you're freestyling on stage, you're free writing. That's what you're doing.
Are you recording it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You record it and then I transcribe it.
Right.
And write it down.
You want to capture it.
Yeah. So I have to. So that is the process. The general process is just having the cameras, recording it, and just writing down what I'm saying on stage as I'm freestyling. Some of the best stuff I have, even in that special, was all freestyles.
Really?
I mean, you saw the Cosby joint. I freestyled that on stage.
Really?
I was like, I didn't know if it was gonna work or not, and it had a reaction.
It's a killer special. It is out. And it's available on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Jared is the name of it.
That's my real name.
And shows coming up. Mic Drop Comedy coming up San Diego, October 4th and 5th. And then Ontario Improv, obviously in Ontario, California. That's 18th and 20th through the 20th of October. And you should go to Jay Pharoah world.com.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for looking up. So some people just don't look shit up, and you have done your research, brother.
I don't like it when I call into a radio show and they go, "What's the name of the theater you're going to be in?" And boys, it's on a piece of. It should be on a piece of paper in front of you.
You should have it in your notes.
And it's also the person is taking the time to come in, sit with you, do the voices, or phone in, or Zoom in, or whatever. Then show them the courtesy and respect of watching the special and writing a few notes down.
Absolutely.
And getting their website.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, man. And we met years ago. I don't know if you know, we met years ago.
Where did we meet?
It wasn't a game. Was it a game show? It was a game show we met on.
Years. Oh, I
think Caitlyn Jenner was there.
As Caitlyn?
As Caitlyn. Bruce wasn't. Caitlyn's only 9.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that.
Caitlyn is 9 years old.
I wonder if Caitlyn can get a discount on a movie ticket.
Yo, that would be. That would
be a funny angle.
But if not, Bruce can get the senior citizens discount.
Oh, it's either going to be Caitlyn who gets the child discount or Bruce who gets the seniors discount.
Yeah, that's right. It's either the kid or the old one. Either way, they both tell the truth.
Now you're writing on stage. You better write that down. All right, Damian Lewis from Band of Brothers and Billions and all the movies is going to join us. Jay Pharoah, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Adam.
And we'll
appreciate you.
Damian Lewis right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and knowledge you'll need for all your maintenance and repairs. I've always gone to O'Reilly. I used to live up in the hills in La Crescenta. I'd go to the one up on Foothill. Still there. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you'll never have to worry if you're in a jam. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice. You don't have to pull it. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery for your vehicle. Need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, quick service, they'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help as well. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the team at O'Reilly knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, friendly. So the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto, do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in the store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Adam, Tank, Bronx, New York, listening to the rant about fishermen. The white guy gringo version of that are surfers. They get up early, they spend a ton of money on equipment, and whenever you drive by, you just see them sitting out there. And when you ask them how surfing was, they tell you the wind was wrong, the tide was wrong, and there were too many people out there.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Damian Lewis has joined us from jolly old London town. New film, The Radleys. It's a very interesting film. I just saw the trailer, but it's very, very unique. And it'll be available in select theaters and Sky Cinema October 18th. Good to see you, Damian.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm well. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. A Band of Brothers is one of those, I don't know, I think it's like The Wire for white guys, where everyone just goes, you got to see The Wire and you got to see Band of Brothers. Like, I feel like those are the two projects that everyone always says you can't miss. Maybe Sopranos, but everyone knows that. And you also worked with my friend Brian Koppelman for a long time on Billions, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's it. You've covered the last 20 years. You've done it.
Also, I'm reading here you're ping pong champion. Is that true?
Like a bit of ping and a bit of pong. Yeah, I get up there and slap it around. I enjoy it.
Is it? But when you see it like at the Olympic level, you're like, oh my God, these guys stand 15 feet behind the thing and scream every time they swing the paddle, right?
Yeah. It's like the ball. If there's like a slight breeze, that ball's not just going on the table, is it? That's a light ball to be hitting that far, right?
I look at it as like it's like bowling. If I will bowl with anyone who rolls the ball down the middle of the lane, but if you show up with the wrist brace and do the English thing on the side where you spin it and it breaks, right to left or left to right, I'm out because I don't do that. I could play ping pong with anybody, but if you're going to stand 12 feet behind the table and jump when you hit it back to me, I'm out. I can't do that. And I don't know if you ever got to that level or not.
It is kind of like it's ping pong. It's like a ball sport and martial arts at the same time.
So you, in this film, you play you and your brother, right?
I do.
And
I do.
Was that scary, or was that your idea, or is this a way to say?
No, it wasn't really my idea, to be honest. It was the idea of the screenwriter and director to take this source material from the book and then turn these two characters into twin brothers. And then it was their idea to ask me to come and play the twin brothers. And that was good. And then it was my idea to say yes. And then we all ended up doing it. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it struck me the last guy to play twin brother who drank blood was Armie Hammer, although some of his art may have drifted in to his actual life.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try to avoid that.
Try to avoid that. Yeah.
We're gonna try and avoid that. Although I did call him for inspiration. No, I didn't. I didn't speak to him. It's playing twins is fun. Playing a vampire movie is fun. You've got the yin and the yang. You got the light and the shade. Exploring the duality and all of us. All the parts of you that want to go out, tear it up, rip it up. Let loose, do something stupid, maybe suck blood for a living. And then the other side of you that's a bit more rational, sensible, responsible, gets you up and sticks you behind your microphone. These are the two parts in all of us, doing battle all the time.
Did you have some wild times at a point in your life?
Like really wild time. Yeah, I knew how to have a good time. Yeah.
And I mean, I was the same way. I think as a guy, part of it's biological. You kind of age out of it a little bit. Also, you get really busy, and when you get really busy, you look forward to doing nothing.
Yeah, a good night out is sitting on the couch is what you mean.
Yeah. And it's also if you have
Doritos and a beer.
Yeah. So I used to have jobs that I hated. So when you had a job you really disliked, then you wanted to really kick up your heels on the weekend. But when you have a job that you like and it's satisfying, you don't feel the necessity to party on the weekend, because I guess back in the day, for me, it was like I want to do the opposite of what I'm doing for a living, which is having a good time. But I actually have a good time with what I do for a living now, so I don't feel compelled. But I don't know.
This is good. I mean, do you have? Is there just a bar with, nonstop free flowing alcohol that I can't see on your screen? And
no. But
there should be, dude.
I do like to have a drink.
Really good time. Have you ever? You don't drink? Have you ever done this?
Oh no, I do. I totally drink. Yeah.
Have you ever done these drunk?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's fun.
So you got to go home to lie down.
Oh yeah. No, I've done these things in Vegas where we're doing a whiskey testing. I practically passed out on the show. So I've done my fair share.
Two ways. You could just keep going out and then get home.
Yeah, my thing with,
because when you're younger, you don't know when to leave the party. That's the thing. That's the only thing you learn when you're older. You just start to get a little inkling of when it's good to leave. Like the old nothing good happens after 1 a.m. Okay, that's the cliche, right? So
yes,
and you know that from bitter personal experience, right? So do I.
Oh God.
So why? So
No, the pain. Look, I used to work construction. It started at 7 a.m, and when you're really hungover and you're swinging a hammer out in the sun at 7 a.m, it's brutal, and the pain became so much greater than the reward part of it. But did you have regular pedestrian jobs as a youth, or was it always the stage for you?
I mean, I got into the stage pretty soon, but I had jobs that I had kind of summer jobs, was those things, the acting went well for me, so it was okay. But summer jobs when I was a teenage kid, like I used to work in Burberry. I used to sell Burberry Rain Max to tourists that were usually, much too big for them, and tell them that, large was the fashion. So go for it. And then I had a job for a time selling car alarms. Sort of dumb jobs that didn't interest me very much, like that. I used to make a bit of money busking. Do you know what busking is? It's a very English term, but I used to put a guitar on my back and get on my motorcycle, go around Europe in the summer and play on the streets, do that a bit.
Yeah, I only know that from Huey Lewis telling me that's what he used to do. busk around Europe. So Huey Lewis of Huey Lewis in the News did that as well.
I've got to tell you, this is amazing that you've said Huey Lewis, because I got to tell you a story now. That we were playing at the Dunhill Masters, which is a pro celebrity golf thing that some people who like playing golf get invited to and like to go and play. You go up to Scotland, play Royal St Andrews, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a group of guys there that year that were all playing golf, and Huey Lewis was one of them. And he was asked to give a concert at the end of the 3 days, and he gets up and unbelievably, he gets up and he gives this concert, and then he calls a couple of his friends who have also been playing golf for 3 days that I had no idea about. One of them is Chico Torres, who gets on drums. Mm-hmm. The other one is Don Felder, who gets on guitar.
Wow. So, right.
I'm talking
Eagles,
to Huey
Bon Jovi and Eagles, right?
Totally, right? Totally. So then he comes up to me and says, dude, I'm a fan of yours from yada, yada, yada. I said, you kidding me? I am such a fan of you. And by the way, everybody on stage. And I just said, I love, I just love, the songs, yada, yada. He says, come up and sing.
Wow.
Get up and I sing one of the verses for him of his most famous song that now has completely gone out of my mind.
Let's try. I want a new drug.
Not hip to be squared.
Working for a living. Happy to be stuck with you.
We've got to go further back. We've got to go back to the Future. We got to go back to the future.
We're going back. Is that the song? Is it Back in Time?
No, what is the matter? Power of
love. The power of love. Okay, sorry.
What's the matter with you and me?
I named 6 Huey Lewis songs. That's not on me.
You did better than I. You did better than I did. Anyway, so I'm up there singing Power of Love, and he says, you know what? I struggle with the high parts now. And he says, I want you to sing the high parts. Wow. So I literally get up and I murder a Huey Lewis song in front of a group of people who've all just playing golf. But that was like a super group that somehow I gate crashed just for like 3 minutes. And he stood aside and he got on his harmonica and he blew it, and he just stood to one side and let me sing The Power of Love for him. It was so great for one person on that stage. It was me.
He is truly one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I don't have to tell you. Very generous. He's a sweetheart of a guy, which is strange because he doesn't have to be nice, but he's super nice. And I've gotten to know him pretty well because Jimmy Kimmel's a massive Huey Lewis fan. And so when Jimmy got famous, all he wanted to do was hang out with people he was a huge fan of when he was a kid. And one of them was Huey Lewis. And so the next thing you know, you just sit next to Huey Lewis over at Jimmy's house eating. And he's just a lovely guy. I mean, that's what I would say about Huey Lewis.
Do you think that's why Jimmy decided to be a talk show host? Because he just said, this is the way I'm going to meet all the people that I loved when I was a kid.
He idolized Letterman. So he was a massive Letterman fan. So that probably planted the seed. And he was also a massive Howard Stern fan. So that probably planted the seed. And I think it was his dream to sit with these, he's fly fishing with Huey Lewis right now somewhere. That was his dream, to go fly fishing with Huey Lewis and to go to.
Yeah. And Hugh probably telling him the story about that, the best night he ever had on stage. And Damian Lewis got up and sung Power of Love for him at a golf event.
Well, you have to have chops. I mean, you have to have some. You're underselling yourself, Damon. That's what I'm saying.
Makes me laugh. I'm telling you, it's a good memory.
So you were always in theater and always doing plays, and that world, wasn't something that you stumbled into, later in life, not later in life, but even as an adult? Like, were you always a part of troops, and did you do it at school and the act at school and that sort of thing?
Yeah, really, that was it. It was school. I had very good theater programs at the schools I was at. I was very lucky that way. And then I guess I was about 16, and I just thought, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. And my parents were very cool about it. And I left school. I kicked off my various college applications, and I went to like a conservatory, conservatoire type station, like going to NYU or Juilliard or whatever, or Yale School. It was one of those kinds of places here in London called the Guildhall. And yeah, it was very you're right, it was very theater orientated, and we all went off to be in the theater. We sort of grew up in our 20s saying, I want to change British theater, and I want to be in the West End, I want to go to the National Theatre, I want to be in the Royal Shakespeare Company, and yada yada yada. And so yeah, that was the impulse. Yeah, it was that. Yeah, and I did that for a while, and I go back to theater. I don't go back as often as I want to, but yeah, that was it. I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company for 2 years. I came to Broadway when I was a youngster in the mid 90s, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, you're right. It was theater was kind of the original bug, was theater.
Do you feel like that is a strong base for doing theatrical work? And I'll say this. I used to teach comedy traffic school, and people think it's kind of funny that I taught comedy traffic school. But I was like, if you can do 8 hours up on your feet with an audience that's not happy to be there, and you can make them laugh, then then other things seem easier. And I found, like, as esoteric as it sounds, it was a good base for me. Like, it was just good training, like a NFL wide receiver having a background in ballet. It might not seem to help, but it does help, And so doing theatrical stuff, you must love the base that you have in the legitimate stage from the back, from your past.
Yeah, I think yes, you do. What I will say though is filming doesn't always require one of these fancy erudite acting trainings or acting schools, because there's something about film which captures the essence of somebody, and there just might be something innately likable, cool, enigmatic, whatever it happens to be, just beautiful about someone that the camera picks up, and that goes a long way on camera.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And they don't have to be trained. You might just be interesting, and you might not even be a great actor, but you might just be interesting in some way. The camera's going to pick it all up and make you a big film star.
Yeah.
And then, but the stuff that you're talking about that I did, yeah, I like that I know about it. I like that I know that I can call on it. I like that I have a training, a grounding. And then a lot of the time you have to just kind of forget it. Otherwise, you're kind of, if you're not careful, you'll be performing some acting manual, and then you're dead and boring. So you don't want to do that either.
Well, I mean, I've talked to Dr. Drew about this a few times, where I have a trade, and my trade was carpenter, and he has a trade, and his trade is doctor. And actor's a trade if you have the base that you have, And I think anytime you have a skill in the trade, it just makes you better at other things, even if they're different than what the base is, So I would say your trade is acting, but you went through that process early and often enough to say, yes, I have this trade. Speaking of just the right look, I forgot about you portraying Steve McQueen in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. being asked to play Steve McQueen is a nice tip of the cap because it means you look like Steve McQueen, which is a good sign as a leading man.
You're right. Yeah, I can't argue with that. It was a very pleasant phone call. Do you know what? I don't want to blow smoke up my own ass, but I had several occasions when I've been filming in the past few years when the camera operator or the cinematographer, it's like this, looking down the thing. Hold on, how do I do that? Oh, and then it's sort of come out like they go, anybody ever told you look a bit like Steve McQueen? And I go, oh, and that just happened 2 or 3 times. Okay, okay, that's quite good. God, wouldn't it be great if someone made a biopic about Steve McQueen? They asked me to do it. But then Quentin called me up and said, I've got this thing, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Steve McQueen's in it, and I want you to play Steve McQueen. And it was just like that. And he said, it's not about Steve McQueen. There's a couple scenes, but I want you to come and do it. And that was an easy phone call to say yes to. So then I'm over doing Steve McQueen. They put a wig on me because he said, I really like that part of Steve McQueen when he's just slightly, anyway, you're slightly older. You can't play a 25-year-old Steve McQueen. But I also really like the Le Mans Steve McQueen. We're getting into the early 70s here. He's grown his hair out a little bit. And they put this wig on me. And to start with, the wig was not right. And I just looked and I went, I look like the love child of Robert Redford and John Bon Jovi. And that's not terrible, but it's not Steve McQueen. So let's futz this and fix it. So we fixed it up and did the whole thing. And then I played Steve McQueen, and it was another very enjoyable moment.
You ever see the movie Papillon?
Yes, I have, sir.
That is a great movie.
That is a great movie. But that's him with short hair, isn't it? And then
yeah,
Dustin.
But he gets old in the movie. Dustin Hoffman.
He does.
Yeah.
That is a great movie. You know what is a great movie?
It's a classic that a lot of people missed out on. But if you're wanting to go back and take a look at a Steve McQueen movie, versus something like Le Mans, there's probably a lot more acting going on in Papillon than there is in Le Mans.
I did a little deep dive on Steve McQueen. So okay, these are all very good segues. If you meant these, then well done. This is fantastic. But you were talking about theater, having your base, having your training. What I will say about your trade that you're talking about, you're right. I can take it to theater. I can go and perform on Broadway or the West End in front of 1,500 people. That's right, because I have that base, that trade. Steve McQueen didn't have any of that. And sometimes when I did a deep dive on Steve McQueen, the whole thing about Steve McQueen was he was the epitome of cool. Sometimes you're looking at Steve and going, you're doing nothing. And that's sometimes really interesting. And sometimes I'm looking at Steve and I'm thinking, wait a second, you're just doing nothing. And I just need a little something from you, for my tastes. That's all. Maybe just sometimes you could just turn it on a little bit. But, he was such a good example of how you don't have to do a lot. You just let the camera photograph you, and then everybody projects onto you often what it is you might be thinking. And that is as powerful as anything that you can present to anybody. Allow them to project onto you what they think you might be doing.
Oh, so, yeah. Anyone who's ever been out socially and not talked for a little while and had everyone project all their stuff, when they go, oh, look at that guy, thinks he's too important or whatever. All you have to do is not talk and people will start projecting stuff onto you. McQueen was the king of cool. He just knew he looked the part and he didn't really have to ruin it by talking too much. It is an interesting phenomenon, which is I used to revere Robert De Niro. I thought, man, that guy's such a great actor. I never heard him interviewed anywhere. He was just on screen as Robert De Niro. And then I see him show up on The View now going insane. And I think, oh, I don't like this as much. I liked it better when he didn't say anything. I didn't know who he was, and I grafted all this stuff. Like, he's so smart, he's so interesting. But he kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, and he did a little too much screaming about Trump. And it's not really about Trump. It's just, I like the quiet, cool version of this guy. And I think celebrities back in the day, I don't think Steve McQueen would have come on to my podcast in modern times and talk about golfing with Huey Lewis, because it kind of would have made him a human. You know what I mean? Versus a star.
Because he's cooler than me. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm too needy. What can I tell you, Adam? I'm down here hustling with everybody else. I know. That's why I play Steve McQueen for 3 days, so I could just think, you see, you don't have to make an effort. You can just be Steve McQueen. It's good. It's like,
yeah, and I think Steve probably always had a chip on his shoulder. He grew up in boys' towns and stuff like that, like foster. He was a foster child, I think. He grew up in really rough circumstances. And I think he always had sort of a chip on his shoulder about that. But he did give back to the boys' towns and the foster programs and all that kind of stuff. So that was a good side. And then died real young. I remember, towards the end, I think it might even have been his last movie. He did Enemy of the People, which is, was a screenplay of one of Ibsen's great play, Henrik Ibsen's great play, one of the great playwrights, Norwegian playwrights of the mid-19th century, who we all grew up studying because he's fabulous. He's one of my favorite playwrights. But, that was a nod to precisely the thing that you're talking about, Steve. I think McQueen wanting to just try something a bit classical, a bit risky, a bit out of the box for him, and be judged alongside the, quote unquote, classical actors, the great actors, of the generation. So, those chips, exist in all of us, don't they, one way or another? Well, anything McQueen, any watches, any race jackets, any cars, anything that guy had is now worth millions of dollars. As a matter of fact, I did see his Porsche 917 that Seinfeld owns being taken apart and refurbished at a shop about 5 miles from here right now. That Porsche from Le Mans, the Gulf livery, which probably went for, it's probably $25 million about now.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No.
That doesn't surprise me.
Do you? Yes.
That was one of the funnest things. I wasn't driving his, but I was driving a 911 around, the old, Porsche, the 71 Porsche that he had,
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Damian, you ever get out to L.A. for business? And if you do, you should come by the studio and hang out, and we'll do this in person.
I'll come say hi. I do come out to LA. Yeah, I do. I haven't been there a lot. Weirdly, in the last 24 months, I haven't been there at all. Actually, very much at all. I've been there once. But yeah, I'll be there again soon, no doubt.
Yeah, I'd love to.
In Steve McQueen's, in Seinfeld Porsche.
In Seinfeld 917. Damon, I'm such a fan. I'm glad you carved out a little time. The Radleys is the name of the film. I think you should go watch the trailer. I think you'll be very intrigued, and it's out in select theaters. It'll be October 18th. But next time you come to LA, come by here. I'll show you some Paul Newman cars.
Okay, I'm going to do it. Can I make one correction to the date? Because I think with you guys in the U.S., I think the release date is October 4. In fact, I know it is.
Oh, well then, pardon me.
18th is in the UK and other places, but for you guys, it's October 4th.
October 4th. Damen Lewis, thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. It's going to be in Casper, Wyoming at the Rialto Theater tomorrow. And then going to head to Nashville to Zanies, do some shows there October 10th. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Damian Lewis and Jay Pharoah saying mahalo.